Every guitar player needs a P90 in their collection. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about in today's video. I know if you actually do a YouTube search, there are some awesome videos by Rich Shell, by CS Guitars, by Chris Buck, and a couple of others. So they cover the entire P90 offering, in a very detailed manner. But what we are going to do in today's video is go a little deeper. So what we're going to cover is a little bit of history, the build, the sound differentiation because of the build in part one. Part two, we're going to cover the key players and the key records or songs you heard the P90 on, which no one has covered. We're going to cover the advantages of a P90, the disadvantages of a P90, and lastly, what we're going to do is we're going to discuss a few um, affordable and expensive options in the P90 range if at all you want to buy one and try it out. But uh, clearly, no, this is no way I'm not associated with any of these guitars or anything of that sort. It's just from a player to player. There are no affiliate links, nothing. This channel is an independent channel, and the only way you can support it is by hitting that subscribe button, which I will really appreciate if you do that now. And hopefully, you find this video helpful. Now, before we get into the all the sections of the video, let me play a quick sound sample. And what you're gonna hear is nothing but my Les Paul going straight into the amp. There are no pedals whatsoever. It's just the amp distortion. All the dynamics are coming from the volume knobs and the pickup selection. The only pedal which I'm using basically is the Univibe in the second section of the song. Hear it out, and let's take it from there. Okay, a little bit of a history on P90s. Gibson basically developed the P90s way before 1952, but it was 1952 which made the P90s popular because it was fitted onto the Les Paul, which was newly introduced at that point in time. And basically 1952 made it popular, and 1957 made it unpopular because in 57 the Les Pauls were converted to the PAFs. So suddenly the P90s kind of vanished. So what is so special about a P90? Generally, it's the build itself. It's basically a single coil pickup. So, but unlike a single coil, the number of windings of the copper wire which goes around is around 10,000 turns, which kind of gives a very high resistance of around 8 ohms, and similarly a high inductance also, which results in a hot pickup. So let's not get too much into the technicalities of it. But what you get because of that is the clarity of a single coil and the sweetness of a single coil coupled with the power of a humbucker. So that's what a P90 does. So that's the little bit of history and know how the build happens and what makes it special. Okay, before we get into the key players and the songs, I'll tell you a little bit of backstory of my P90. I read and heard so much about a P90, in magazines and in videos and other things, but I was not ready to spend a lot of money for a P90 guitar, so I went for the most economical Gibson Les Paul available, which looked cool and like the 1952 Les Paul. So I went in for a tribute, but as the legend has it, the sound caught on to me, and that guitar is very very special to me. And you can hear that in a lot of records, and lot of what a lot of people say about the P90. So you have heard the P90 in the entire range of some of the top bands like Doors. Robbie Krieger was heavily into P90s and P90s only. Billy Joe Armstrong, I think majority of his career was on a P90. Selective usage would be Dave Gilmour's gold top, gold neck P90 Les Paul. Um, Santana, the entire earlier albums of Santana were all P90s. Tony Iommi, early days was all P90s. On the earlier players, if I have to think about it, obviously, Wes Montgomery was on a P90. Les Paul was on a P90, obviously, because he's the one who started it. Am I missing someone? Yeah, Beatles. Um, Lennon, McCartney, Harrison, all three of them favored the Epiphone Casino, which was a P90 guitar. So Beatles is one major user of P90 sound. And I made notes here because I know it's a pretty long topic, so I don't want to miss out anything. Of course, Leslie West. How can we forget Leslie West? I mean, the riff in Mississippi Queen, the intro riff, the iconic riff was on a P90. Um, Entire Aqua Lung record by Jethro Tull was on a P90. So these are some of the top players and the records where you heard the P90 sound. And now I hope that now the sound is gelling in your head. Advantages of P90. As I told you, the P90 is basically a single coil pickup, but it's a single coil on steroids. So one of the best use you can put the P90 to is if you're playing in kind of a cluttered mix or lots of frequencies meddling together, and you want the guitars to stand out, both in terms of rhythm and solos or leads or whatever that you're doing. Don't think twice. Use a P90. It'll automatically make the guitar stand out in many cases. And as we speak, I'll put a few sound samples of where I have actually used it for that purpose. It's going to be a 10-15 second clip, and I'll leave a link of the original jam if at all you want to go and hear it out. But I'm going to restrict 10 to 15 seconds for these examples. So number one advantage is you know standing out in the mix or cutting the mix. Second advantage, it looks super cool, man. All said and done. So that's the best. I mean that is actually the top of the line for me when I picked up. It looks super cool. Okay, the next advantage is the unique sound of a P90. It's neither a humbucker nor a single coil from a sonic perspective. So it helps you search for new ideas, at least for me, and it behaves also very differently as compared to a single coil or a humbucker. So in certain situations where I'm searching for new ideas or playing over Indian ragas or a fusion setting, I would grab the P90 because it's gonna make me play differently than a standard humbucker or a single coil. So the unique sound is extremely advantageous. have to discuss some of the disadvantages of a P90. I haven't come across a single video which talks about the disadvantages. The number one disadvantage of a P90 is it is not designed for very high gain, and it will kind of get either too muddy or too shrieky, for lack of a better word, when in a high gain environment. So you need to be careful about where your gain levels are and where your volume knobs are when you're playing a P90. So that's the number one disadvantage. The noise levels. By nature, the P90 is a single coil. So you're gonna have your 50 cycle and 60 cycle hums. You're gonna hear the electromagnetic interferences, EMI as it's called. It's gonna react badly to stage lights or any other bright light source which is falling on you when you're playing live. So you're gonna have a little bit of a noise issue with P90. So that's something you need to be aware of. Another disadvantage is because of the unique sound, which is an advantage. It also means that if your standard settings on your pedals or amps or your modelers need to be tweaked, so you can't have the same settings working for you on a P90. So that's one more disadvantage. The last and the most important one, if you're out there buying your first guitar, or if it's gonna be your only guitar, I would highly advise against going in for a P90 because it's unique. So if you want to play a range of things and want to emulate the sound of, say, a Slash, which is every guitar beginner's hero, right? So if you want to play something like a Slash, or you want to play something like which is Dimebag or Zach Wild or stuff like that, no, you can't. It'll not. It's not that you can't. You can, but it's not going to sound as authentic as the original sound is. So, if it's going to be your first guitar or your only guitar, I would recommend against a P90. So these are the disadvantages. Now, in terms, if at all, if this video has kind of influenced you or motivated you to get yourself a P90, there are lots of options out there which you can go and pick up. Personally, if you look at what is available, I was searching through some of the options which I can speak about in the video, and all these guitars are something that I have played at least once in my life, and they're pretty decent. There is a G&L ASAT or ASAT, I don't know how you pronounce it, ASAT or ASAT Junior, which is a P90. I played it once, and I know it was exactly a telly on steroids, to be very frank with you. The Epiphone Casino again seems to be a good guitar. I've seen the reviews. Um, they have full size pots. The pickups are not that great, is what I heard, but the one I played actually sounded good. There's a guitar I have not played, but I played the humbucker version of it. It's the Yamaha Revstar. Generally, Revstars, the build quality is good, the electronics are good, and this is a P90 version of the same Revstar humbucker model. So I think it has to be good because historically, Yamaha has been using P90s even on the higher end Pacificas for a while. So I think they know their P90s, better than others. And a word of caution while we are at the guitar section. Yes, before we go into the word of caution, one more honorable mention is there used to be a PRS soap bar series, PRS soap bar 2 or something of that sort. That's something which I think would be a very good P90 fill. Coming back to the word of caution, I have seen a lot of guitars with pickups which look like P90, but when you actually open it up, they're not P90s. A genuine P90 is built differently, and these are just your regular humbuckers which are made to look like P90s. So stay away from them. So these are some of the good options, and I hope you got something from this video. As usual, We will continue making more informative videos like this. Do let me know in the comments what do you think about the P90s, and some of the players that I would have missed out. And as usual, stay in touch, subscribe, and look forward to your support. Thank you.